have been natural for about 9 years or more without any relaxers or blow drying or flat ironing until June 1st, 2022. Got my first hair colored with Nutrient Vegan hair color, in which I've used for several years. Oh, okay. After the blowout and flat ironing, my hair is bone straight and will not revert back to its natural curl pattern. I have washed it every week since then, and it seems like it's getting straighter and straighter. What can be done to correct this? I just ran across your channel today. It seems like you have the science to hair care. Can you help me? In this video, I'm going to explain to you why that happened to your hair, what actually happened to your hair, and how and if you can repair your hair from it. So if you have been dealing with something like this person here in this video, then make sure you get your pen and paper out and keep watching.
Trust that exactly where you are is where you're meant to be. So keep your chin up so your crown doesn't fall. Remember, you're royalty.
Don't get mad at me when I say this. I'm spitting straight from the dome with no notes, all right? Just responding to this comment. This comment and this situation that you are in is the reason that I make the type of videos that I make here on my channel. Hair is not like your skin. Even though your hair, skin, and nails are made up of the same protein, your skin and your nails are not a self-healing entity. Once your ends split or your nails break, that's it. You have to cut it off. So what's happening is, across the board, there are so many women who will be natural for years and then they'll get heat put on their hair and then instantly their hair is damaged, and the blame and the corporate and the person that everybody points the finger at is the flat iron or the blow dryer. But before we point the blame at the blow dryer and the flat iron, we need to first play the process of elimination. If we're going to get into the science of hair, and if you're on my channel, I know that's what you're here for, let's go ahead and induct the scientific method. So if we look at everything, what is the common denominator? Flat irons and blow dryers have been used for years, and actually the amount of heat let out on blow dryers and flat irons have wildly decreased, because now you can get a flat iron that will cut off if it goes any higher than 450, or you can control the heat temperature, versus back then when our moms and grandmas and them were doing hair with pressing combs, there's no way for you to test the temperature to know how hot the flat iron is. And trust and believe, if a Marcel iron has been sitting there within that stove all day long, it is a lot hotter than 450 degrees. And the way you test it is simply by using a neck strip, and if that neck strip does not turn brown, the hair is not burned. All right, so the heat was twice as powerful back then, but for whatever reason we're getting heat damage now, but we were not getting it then. The heat was way higher, the temperatures were way higher, we were using a lot more oils that actually fried the hair like chicken, but everybody's curls were still bouncing back. What is the difference? Well, back then everybody wasn't putting all of the stuff that belongs in your food or in your stomach in their hair. Yes, there were at-home remedies and stuff like that, but we weren't doing rice water every other week and apple cider vinegar every other week and mixing up all of these different products. But now we are. So by you being natural for all of these years, trying all of these different natural products, again, another thing about natural hair products, the pH level is never really balanced, and most of the products that you guys are making in-house are very, very highly acidic. So you're putting the majority of the products that you're putting on are highly acidic. Not only are they acidic, but they actually cause the damage to the salt bond. So in this clip here, I'm going to show you guys a little bit more about the 3 bonds that hold the hair together, what they look like, and what happens to them when you break them. let's hop into this molecular kit by Old Nobby so I can give you a visual of the bonds that hold the hair shaft together. All right, if you want to get your hands on one, link in the description box below. I love it, my kids do too. All right, so this very first bond, not this one but this yellow one right here, is the disulfide bond. The yellow is sulfur. This is a sulfur to sulfur linkage, and the more of these you have in the hair shaft, the curlier the hair is. Next up is the hydrogen bond. This is the bond that's temporarily broken by water, and this is the salt bond that can be broken permanently by highly acidic products. So imagine these pins, that's the hair shaft, and these bonds are within one strand of hair holding it together. The pins, one hair shaft, one strand, okay? But the more you weaken these bonds by doing too many wash and goes, you know, doing too many different at-home hair remedies and stuff like that, you weaken the bonds and you give yourself certain types of hair shaft damage, which we'll talk about in a second. But if you have that hair shaft damage, as soon as a blow dryer, that was a blow dryer, my hands, boom, it just breaks all of the bonds apart, pulls everything together, and then you have what appears to be heat damage. But was it the blow dryer or was it the things that you did to weaken the bond? Most people who've been natural for years are like sworn off of shampoo, or if they use shampoo, they won't use conditioner from the same brand. Shampoos are naturally acidic, so they can get rid of fatty deposits and things of that nature. Once you put something that's highly acidic on the hair shaft or on the body in general, you have to then put its counterpart there so it can balance itself out. With shampoo and conditioner, there's a positive and a negative charge that both have to be met at the same time. But most naturals, they either don't shampoo the hair or don't use conditioner, or if you shampoo and condition, you use a shampoo and conditioner from two completely different brands. All conditioners condition, but all conditioners are not formulated to balance each other's positive and negative charge. Really think about what is actually happening to your hair shaft on an internal level. We focus so much on different scalp disorders like dry scalp psoriasis, and things of that nature, but because we believe the myth that the hair shaft is dead, we believe that there is no type of maintenance that you need to perform on the hair shaft. If you look at this picture right here, this is what your hair shaft looks like on the inside. When somebody says that the hair shaft is dead, what they're talking about is the nerves. The nerves on the hair shaft are dead, because if they do not die, then getting a haircut would be excruciating pain. By you using highly acidic products, what you end up doing is breaking the salt bond. And on top of you breaking the salt bond by using highly acidic products or products that don't have the pH balance, so there's not a balance of alkaline and a balance of acidity in products, which most homemade products are not, because you're not a chemist and you have not been trained on how to properly do that. Because sometimes just putting a little pH stick in it may not be enough, because the longer a product sits, the higher the acidity rises in the product. So yeah, you can test it with a pH balancing strip the first day, but by the second day or halfway through the first day, the acidity is going to increase. That's how it goes, right? But you don't know that, because all you did was watch a video on YouTube. By you being natural for 9 years, most likely, if you're priding yourself in never using a blow dryer and never using a flat iron, that means that you've most likely been doing twist outs, doing homemade products, doing wash and goes, and all of that different stuff. And by you doing this, what you do is you break the bonds in the hair, like I just demonstrated. You're either breaking bonds in the hair shaft, or another thing that could be happening is you causing microscopic tears within the hair shaft. And when you are using highly acidic products and you're walking around with wet hair, which most women who are natural, who haven't used blow dryers in a long time, you're walking around natural, you're constantly breaking the hydrogen bond. So you don't even know it, because you're layering your hair with so many products that you don't know what your hair shaft really feels like. So you're just constantly layering your hair with product after product after product after product, right? So then as you've been natural for 9 years and you've been using all of these different highly acidic products, right, that have been breaking the salt bond and putting holes within the hair shaft, putting those microscopic tears within the hair shaft with you constantly breaking the salt bond, you're also walking around with wet hair most of the time, doing your wash and go, so you've given yourself hydro fatigue, so that's the second bond that's damaged. And then 2, the disulfide bond can be damaged from something other than heat or chemicals. If you have holes and rips and tears within the salt bond and the hydrogen bond, and rips and tears all within the hair's cuticle, then it's not going to be hard for heat to bust the disulfide bond wide open. And that is all that happened. So by you being natural 9 years, you've been breaking down the salt bond and the hydrogen bond. You've done that. So then the hair shaft, your hair shaft was already broken. You already had damage. You've already had one of these mini hair shaft disorders. You already had it. So then when you went to the hair salon, your salt bond and your hydrogen bond were already broken. And so the last bond that was standing was the disulfide bond, which is the bond that's responsible for holding your hair shaft together and making your hair curly. The more disulfide bonds, the more sulfur to sulfur linkages you have, the curlier the hair is. So by you breaking down the salt bond, breaking down the hydrogen bond, all that was left was the disulfide bond with no defenders and nothing. So the disulfide bond was completely bust open, and that's it. I'm so sorry, and I wish that there was something that I could do or say to be like, oh, this will fix everything. And I think that this is what has confused everyone so much, because everyone wants to be that girl or that dude or whatever, that he, she, we, them, us, that wants to be like, oh, she the one who told us, they the one who told us what you can do. No, it does not work like that. That's why hairstylists are always pushing so hard. Trim, maintenance, deep condition, do this, and maintenance on the hair shaft, not because they want to get your money, but because a real scientist, aka a licensed cosmetologist, understands that your hair shaft is not going to heal itself. It's not a self-healing entity. So if you don't keep up with maintenance, or if you cause rips or tears within the hair shaft, that is it. Then you have to big chop. I'm so sorry to tell you this, but the way that I hope I explained it enough in a way to have you understand that the only thing that's making your hair curly is the amount of sulfur to sulfur linkages that you have, aka this disulfide bond. And the more you weaken the salt bond with highly acidic products, the more you weaken the hydrogen bond by constantly wetting the hair all the time, the more you make holes, rips, and tears in the hair shaft. And if there are holes and rips and tears within the hair shaft, there is nothing protecting the disulfide bond. The disulfide bond lives within the hair's cortex, and the cuticle is there to protect everything that lives in the cortex. So it is your job to have practices that protect the hydrogen bond and the disulfide bond in your hair. That's your job. You doing all of these team natural hacks, you are weakening your hair's defense system. The cuticle is the hair's defense system, and that is, it's just as simple as that. I'm sorry. It's like, once the foundation of a house is ruined, you have to tear the house up and build a new foundation. And I'm sorry, but that's what it is. There's nothing that you can do to put back those disulfide bonds that have now been damaged and bust open, because your cuticle has already been ripped open. Your cuticle is damaged. And I know that it's like, oh, all natural hair products, all natural hair color. It's like, y'all, it's a market employee. It's BS, because it's the same thing with the diet soda, right? Yeah, diet soda is diet, but it's still not good for you. They just replaced the thing that everybody knows is oh so bad, like, oh, y'all found out about this bad ingredient, so then they find another ingredient to replace it with, and then you won't feel bad. But it's still the same thing. So I can't really give you an exact rundown on exactly what type of hair shaft disorder that you had, but I know for a fact you had a hair shaft disorder, damaged hydrogen bond, damaged salt bond, and then you put color on top of the hair, even though it's like, oh, this is all natural color. Like, nothing about color is all natural. It is a chemical that is opening your hair's cuticle and putting in artificial pigments in it. It's not your natural pigment, so it's artificial. It's not real. It's not natural. It's not the natural pigment coming from your body. Like, it's not. It is something artificial and foreign to your body. All right, so you lifted the cuticle that is already bust open and damaged, so all of the protein that lived in your hair that was making your hair curly just ran out. Because by you having those team natural practices, you have weakened your hair shaft's defense system. All right, I really hope that it makes sense. If you guys feel like you've been in this situation or you put yourself in this situation, then I really recommend that you guys join my 7-day hair growth challenge. 7-day hair growth challenge is not about hair growth, right? Even though that's what's gonna happen. What it's about is breaking down old foundations and building up new ones. After my 7-day challenge, you will know how to detox your scalp and your hair shaft. You will also then be able to pinpoint what type of schedule or hair regimen you need to have based on your porosity, your density, and so many other factors. You don't have to cut your hair off, because just because the curls aren't back doesn't mean that the hair is damaged. It just means that there are no softer to softer linkages. That's all that means, that there are less softer to softer linkages than there were before. You can still have healthy hair and keep the hair that's on your head that's not curling up anymore, because that's the same thing as a woman that would get a relaxer. A woman that gets a relaxer purposely removes that protein from the hair shaft. But if you have heat damage, as long as it's not severe heat damage, it was just removed by mistake. So you do not have to do a big chop. Again, my 7-day hair growth challenge will teach you how to get a really good regimen and learn how to transition, you know, from heat damaged hair back to natural hair. Or if you're a person who is transitioning from relaxed to natural, or if you're a person who wants to go from natural to relaxed, my 7-day hair growth challenge will help you do that, and it will break it down step by step. And not only that, once you get started with my 7-day hair growth challenge, you are within a group where we have conversations, we're holding each other accountable, and at any point in time throughout your journey, you come into this group and you talk to your fellow peoples, right? And there are people within the group that finished the challenge a year ago, but they still come in to help the people who just started. It is a beautiful community, so I'm so excited for you to join it. And my love, the person who looked at this video, I really think you should join it, just so you can start over from scratch. Whether you start over from a way of like cutting your hair off and starting all over again, or if you just start transitioning, you know, going from your hair being, you know, a little bit heat damaged from this go around to you rejuvenating and starting over from scratch. To be honest, unless your hair is brittle, falling off in patches, I do not recommend you shaving your whole head, because honestly, I don't recommend wash and goes anyway. I really don't. So it doesn't really make sense for you to shave your whole head. It's like, okay, your ends are not curling up anymore. That's fine. Now you just need to do roller sets, or just go ahead and do twist outs. But if you're going to do a twist out, make sure your hair is 100% dry.
Trust that exactly where you are is where you're